I have to speak about people in Facebook jail or people that pride themselves to go to Facebook jail. And then, yes, the censorship that goes on. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The Jilly Juice aims to have you take things to a middle ground. Okay? There are a lot of lifestyles and belief systems out there that you're not going to agree with. And I know this. There's a lot of things out there that I don't agree with. But there's nothing I can do to change somebody's mind in their body, mind, and spirit, regardless of what it is. Now we know the laws will change. We already know laws or legislation is being put into place that is going to allow some groups of people with different biochemistries to flourish and yes, potentially harm other people. And believe me, I understand where you're coming from. I understand the shock of it all. I understand how horrific some of this stuff is. And I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to stop I mean, you couldn't stop the New World Order in what they do as far as the pedophilia network, okay? You couldn't stop any of that, but you can protect your kids, okay? And the thing is when you put yourself in Facebook jail, you have now put a muzzle on your voice. When you go to jail out there, you've put a muzzle on your freedoms of being an influence on your child, on your community. When you've taken an extreme line and you don't understand how the game is played, and then you put yourself in a position to where you're muzzled or you're put in jail, then what have you done to help your community informing them? And so what I'm finding right now is that those that go to Facebook jail are completely useless to any kind of change. Okay? You have to be able to understand how this game is played, and that is speaking in very non-extreme and from a factual point of view. How you communicate needs to be not in a way where you want to harm somebody else because you don't agree with them, but to where you're informing children's parents, your friends and family, your community, what kind of legislation is out there, what is potentially coming down the pipeline, and giving people an option, a different option, or a different opportunity, or a different way to counter the negative elements. Okay? But I want you to understand that I was put in jail for a few times when I've been dealing with trolls, when I've been taking the extreme on certain things, and then that was counterproductive to what I was trying to get across. So I want those of you that are in jail right now watching me, at some point you're going to have to learn how not to get in jail. You're going to learn how to speak from a very neutral point of view that still gets the point across without triggering the algorithms to want to throw you in jail, whether it's out there on the street or within the Facebook community. Some of you want to go take yourselves to Parler or MeWe or other platforms that will still have the same type of specific rules. Okay, so even though, yeah, you may take a right-wing premise, a right-wing type of perspective, if you are going to harm somebody, if you are promoting harming people, if you're promoting things that are going to cause destruction to not only you but to other people, that platform would be red flagged. There are people on these platforms that do report to the government on what these platforms are offering people and what they're doing. And so yes, those other platforms are going to be subject to government mandates. You're not going to escape your extremism or the ramifications of your extremism by going to a different platform like MeWe or Parler or some other, thing. You have to learn how to speak in middle ground, in neutral language that would still offer somebody a different way of thinking. But understand, you can't penetrate a biochemistry that's that messed up. You can't tell a serial killer to stop killing people when that's within their biochemistry and then they target the weak. But those that have the capacity to understand, which means not everybody has the capacity to understand my information, so you don't ram my information down their throat. But you find a way to reach those that have still somewhat the cognitive level to get where I'm coming from, and you speak to them. But you speak in a way where it's not so extreme, whether it's to the right or to the left, where you're not promoting harm against a person, place, or thing, or against any community, And yes, there is legislation that you would see as harmful to a child, and believe me, I understand, but watch your own children. Watch your own children. Hey, Tiffany. Watch your children and inform your friends and family what they could potentially be putting their children into. But it's still that parent's choice to put their kid in public school. You can't tell a parent not to put their kid in public school. You can't tell a parent not to get vaccinated or to get vaccinated. You know, it has to come from either the parent understanding and wanting to do whatever it is that they've understood to do, or change their mind if they get new information, or, you know, it's up to the state to determine if the parent isn't cognitively aware how to make a choice for their child. So this is one of the biggest lessons around Jilly Juice is to learn how to speak without triggering the algorithms to throw you in jail. And if you can't speak at all because you're too extreme, then that should tell you something as well. If you choose not to speak on social media, it's because your mind is too extreme and you're not learning how to speak in the art of neutrality and information and facts. Because even not speaking at all is saying that you're hiding something. So if you can speak without triggering the algorithms on Facebook, if you can speak without triggering someone or something to deem you as a danger to society, if you're not speaking from facts but only perceptions, yes, you're going to go to jail in Facebook or on the street. So this is one of the biggest things about J-Juice, is that's going to give you the mental clarity to be able to speak from a very different point of view, where you're not going to elicit somebody's draconian reactions against your way of speaking, the way you carry yourself, the information that you have. It's going to come from a total different perspective. And I've been learning how to speak in a way where it doesn't trigger the FTC, where it doesn't trigger the Ohio Attorney General. I know what I could say on the public forum, such as my website. I'm speaking in facts on my website. I'm not talking about curing any disease. I'm not talking about any specific diseases with the named diseases. I'm saying, hey, why are we being plied with DMAbs, DNA monoclonal antibodies? That's a fact. It's indisputable. It's corroborated. It's promoted. But it's the perception is what people are choosing to believe, the different perceptions. But when you start speaking from a point of view that is going to trigger laws, it's going to trigger algorithms that think that you're promoting something that is harmful to you as well as everybody else, then you're still speaking from that extremist point of view. You're speaking from perception. Okay? And when you speak from perception, you can't help, especially when you go from to extremes. Okay? That's why you must understand how to speak in facts, in scientific facts, not scientific perception. Okay? And it's understanding word, syntax, logic, mathematics, chemistry, biochemistry, the elements. And that does take practice. That does take a real clear gut. Okay? And it does take somebody willing to step outside of their activist stance. Because what's a red flag to me is if you're in Facebook jail. When you're in Facebook jail, it means that you've taken an extreme stance. And you don't know how to speak in a way that's neutral, but still gets the point across without triggering stuff. So that could be the next, challenge for those of you that are extremists on the left or the right in the conspiracy world, as well as the allopathic, holistic, mainstream, left, right, whatever, is how can you speak and get the point across and inform people that they do have choices. Okay? That's all you're giving people is choices. You can't ever ram my information or any information down someone's throat and think that they're just going to get it because you forced it down their throat. Thank you, Tiffany. Okay? And so that's my challenge to those of you who are in Facebook jail, who pride themselves to be in Facebook jail or pride themselves to be censored by Facebook. Oh, because Facebook censors me, it means I'm speaking the truth. Yeah, you're speaking a truth of, which is basically a perception. There really isn't anything honorable about a truth because everybody has a perception. It's like truth and perception are like assholes. Everybody has them. It's whether or not you're dealing with facts is the difference. And that's why you get censored, because you're not dealing with facts. And that's what I'm aiming to get my Jilly Juice community, is to work with facts, not their extreme perceptions. And so it's going to take a while. So if you have nothing to say at all, it means you're still trying to figure out the difference between fact and perception, or between fact and truth, because they are diametrically opposed and very different. All right. Good luck to you. Bye.